Here's how I'm preparing for the Season 3 expansion. First of all, if I go to my storage, you'll see that I'm saving all of these parcels, logging materials, mining materials, and so forth. Well, in these boxes, there's going to be tier 5 resources like mithril ore, dark hide, spin fiber, and rune wood. So these parcels you have to save. You can get these parcels from mining in the world or harvesting in the world. You can also get them from refining. So keep these parcels. If you have them, you'll be way ahead, since on launch, I'm betting that mithril ore and all of these new tier 5 resources will be very contested. So when you have these parcels, you'll be way ahead of everyone. Now that you know you need to save your refining crates, what do you need to do with your unusual ore and so forth? So as you can see here, we have strange ore, abnormal ore and so forth. Well, in the next patch, this is going to be limited to 3 a day. You can only craft 3 a day of these. So what am I going to do with these? Well, I'm going to start using them. Why? Because this increases my mining skill and I will get some boxes. As you can see here, I got a parcel of mining materials and so forth. So with these materials, I can just save and I can get mithril ore from this. So I'm going to use all of my unusual ore and so forth. You can also do your weavers. As you can see, there's a lot of things you can use, apprentice. So I'm going to start using this. This is a gamble. We do not know if these boxes is truly going to give you mithril ore and so forth. But if you go to NWDB, you'll see that these boxes are going to give you like spine weave and so on. So I'm going to take the gamble and use all of my strange pollen and so forth. If you didn't know, this stuff increases your harvesting skill, and when you increase your harvesting skill, you gain aptitude levels and you get these boxes. So I'm going to actually use mine and take the gamble, get some insane resources on day one. Another thing that I'm doing is that I'm preparing a spreadsheet where I'm going to keep all of my resources. In the next expansion, all of this useless loot that we have, all of these loot will be upgraded, and I'm going to salvage everything. And I want to sort out all of my boxes, so I'm going to keep a spreadsheet where I'm going to keep all my named items, my harvesting materials, my crafting, and so forth. So I'm going to have everything neatly organized and actually set myself up for success in the future. Since currently, this is a mess. All of this loot just chilling here, this is a mess. I'm so unorganized. So the first thing I'm going to do is salvage all this loot and then just keep all my stuff at my storage. For example, in a Restless Shore, this is the only box that's organized. I keep all my gems. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort each settlement into a specific category, like Everfall would be my named items or my PvP gear and so forth. So each category will have a purpose. I'm also buying all of these useless perks, for example, durability perks, sliver of adamant. All of these useless perks will be salvaged into crafting mods. So I'm buying all of this. For example, in the next season patch, this will be useless. So you will be able to salvage this for crafting mods that gives you attributes. For example, the Iron Guardsman insignia, which will give you health. Just make sure to go to NWDB, search up Iron Guardsman, and you'll see a whole list of crafting mods that you can search on the trading market that you can buy and keep for salvage to gain these mods. I'm also going to keep all of my infused ancient ward pots or similar pots to this that gives you more damage resistance to these types of mobs. Well, in the next season, you're going to use these pots to actually help you do dungeons. For example, these pots will be replacing ward perks. So if you pop these pots, you will take less damage from the type of mob. So keep these pots. Also, if it's cheap on your server, go to the trading post and buy some of them, since the price will increase. I think on my server it's a little bit too late. If you can see here in my server, it's already very expensive. So just check on your server if you have ward pots. If it's under 30 to 20 gold, I would say pick them up. But then again, if you're going to level your arcane, you might as well craft these pots since they will be used. I'm also going to do all of my faction missions before the expansion. Doing these faction missions will allow me to actually level my reputation as fast as possible and my character level in the expansion. Plus, there will be new faction rewards that we would need, and getting them as soon as possible off the cooldown will be important. So make sure when the expansion release that you already have all of your faction missions in each territory completed. For each territory, you can do all of your faction missions, and on the day, you can just spawn to each location and hand in your faction mission. It will give you XP and tokens and level your faction reputation. Speaking about doing faction missions, you also need to at least get 100 levels in your PvP track. So here I'm at 99, I just need one more level. They say that some artifacts only drop at PvP 100, but I've also seen the developers state in Discord that this won't be the case. But either way, make sure to level your PvP track. If you go to NWDB, you see that some artifacts only drop after level 100, but as I stated, the developer said that this isn't going to be the case, that you can get some artifacts on even PvP level 1. So there's still some confusion around it, but either way, if you do your daily free faction missions, you might as well do some PvP missions and get your track leveled slowly but surely. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm collecting these weapon scraps and armor scraps. I'm going to use these scraps to level my profession. For example, here you can see you can use this to level your profession. Of course, these professions will increase to 250 in the next patch, so I'm just keeping this to level my profession as fast as possible for the next expansion. So what I'm doing daily is I'm doing the golden scarab run. I'll place the video on top here so you can follow along. But basically I do the golden scarab run here and I do chest runs. And when I salvage my loot, I get these little scraps that I could use for my profession. So I'm keeping them and I'm doing chest runs just so I can use these scraps. Of course, if you're not already maxed out on your trade skills, make sure you also maxed out on your trade skills. For example, mining, logging, leatherworking, woodworking and so forth. Also max out your music if you can, since in the next patch there will be a new music special that you can achieve, and when you play it, your gathering skills will actually gain more XP. So this will be really helpful to gain that Referral ore and so forth and level your profession to 250. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm keeping some food ready for my horse. So in the next expansion, you're going to be crafting food for your horse to level it faster. And you can feed it 3 times a day. So I'm keeping all of these ingredients at the ready for the next expansion. So I can just craft some food for my horse and level it as fast as possible. I'm also keeping all of my current OPR crates. As you can see here, I have like 180. The gear in these crates will not transition to the next patch, but I'm keeping these crates because in the next season you're going to have to salvage gear for your bingo cards, and I'm going to use this gear to level my bingo cards. So each time I need to salvage some gear, I will open the OPR box and just complete my bingo card. In the same breath, I'm also going to keep my gypsum. For example, here I can craft some gypsum orbs. I'm going to keep this gypsum because on your bingo card there's also an achievement to craft some gypsum to complete it. But if you already have a lot of gypsum orbs, I would also recommend picking up some crates. If you have too many orbs, for example, I currently have 108. I went from 600 to 108. I just crafted all of these boxes so that I can get shards and I have a little bit of extra gold when the patch hit. If you didn't know, in the next patch, you're going to be able to salvage your shards. So for every 10,000 shards, you will get 1,000 gold. So currently, I'm just saving my shards so that I can get a little bit of extra gold when the patch hits. But I wouldn't say this is worthwhile. I would say keep your gypsum orbs. Keep your gypsum orbs because in the next patch, these gypsum orbs are going to be used to craft weapon matrices, armor matrices, and jewelry matrices. And these matrices you're going to use to upgrade named items. So keep your gypsum orbs if you have them. Or if you have too many, just turn them into umbral shards and get that extra bit of gold. These gypsum orbs is also going to be used to craft your new heart runes, which you will need 50 of. I'm also keeping all of my legendaries. For example, here's a few legendaries. I'm also keeping my named items since all named items is getting upgraded to 6 to 5, which will also turn into legendaries. When you salvage these legendaries in the next patch, it will give dark matter. Also, to gain more dark matter, I'm also keeping my silver spoils and my hatchery spoils. Of course, you can get hatchery spoils 7 times a week, and the silver spoils is basically you get it from this event. So keep your spoils. These boxes will have 10 dark matter each in them in the next patch. And if you didn't know, dark matter is going to be important to upgrade your named items and so on. Another thing that I did to prepare for the season is that I farmed all of my trophies. For example, I have some human ward trophies here. So I farmed all of these trophies. So in the next season, I can be ready for mutations and grind all of my best in slot gear. Since these mutation dungeons have a higher chance of dropping 700 gear score items. So I'm keeping my trophies just to do these mutations as fast as possible. If you haven't grinded for your trophies yet, just know that it takes a lot of time. It's probably easier to buy your trophies at the moment at the trading post and just go chop some wood, grind some iron, whatever, try to farm something. Just know everything at the moment is really contested. So if you have a Netflix running, maybe you can go and farm some trophies just by AFKing and watching Netflix. Might be better to do it. So some conflicting advice, it depends on your server. If you have a dead server, just go and grind some mats. But if your server is highly contested, I would say just AFK and start farming your trophies. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm placing a lot of buy orders since your refining skills is going to increase to 250 like woodworking, leatherworking and so forth. So I've placed a lot of buy orders for all of these mats just to level my trade skill. It's currently very expensive, so you might be a little bit too late to it. But you can also just go and farm in the open world for these mats. And of course, while you're farming for these mats, you can also get your little mining materials and so forth that contains the referral and so on. So it's a double whammy if you go and farm for materials. If you're like me and you haven't upgraded all of your heart runes, I would say don't upgrade your heart runes just yet. Keep them, since you will also have to level your stone cutting, and these heart runes will give you a little nice XP boost. Also in the next patch there will be a new tier of heart runes, so make sure you farm all of your mats as ahead as you possibly can. Since I know we will have to use a lot of Ace of Vials to craft the new heart runes, so make sure you have a little bit of Ace of Vials in storage and of course some gypsum orbs. And lastly, I would also take your town board missions. Just make sure you do not hand in all of your town board missions. This will also give you a little XP boost in completing your town board missions. But I wouldn't say this is a priority. Just do it as a side quest. So sometimes there will be missions on here. As you complete your faction missions, you will also sometimes have to complete a town board mission. So whenever you take a faction mission and you want to go and complete it, just take a town board mission and you might complete 2 missions in one go. Just for that little extra XP boost when you log in and you need to level your character to 65. Go and watch this video if you want to go and do that golden scarab run to get some golden scarabs for next season, or get some armor scraps or weapon scraps.